All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another Semi-Informed Football podcast. This is a special one. We have all three of us back here, Mark, Marco, and Mateo. We're all back here on the pod right now. We're going to be talking about a phenomenal weekend we just had in European football, and just a lot of the players and the games happening. With first thing what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into just the last week in Champions League, because there's some really, really amazing games. So I'm going to start this one off with, you know what, I might as well throw this one off to Mark first. So PSG passing by Liverpool. I know this one still kind of stings, but what can you tell me about that game?
Well, Marco, what can I say? I was hoping for the best, but I made it clear last week that it was going to be tough, and PSG were a stronger team. Liverpool had been in shambles. They started the game well. Okay, I thought they fought really well, but in the end, our season-long deficiencies came to light, and PSG they won 2-0. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, Mark. Are we kind of getting closer to slot out, or what do you think is going to happen right there?
So, I'm hearing a lot of things. I'm hearing that upper management actually is a fan of the concept of giving a manager time. And with Salah leaving, with Robertson leaving, by the way, these two were the two best friends of Diego Jota. With a lot of injuries that we've had and really unable to have the team together and to make some necessary clear outs like Salah, like Robertson, they might actually give Slot one more year. I think a lot of the fan base wouldn't be in favor of that, but from a business decision, maybe they're thinking, listen, we can't pander to the fans. We run the club, and we know that a manager needs time. Having said that, I think it really boils down to Xabi Alonso's availability and desire for the Liverpool job. I think that if he really wants the job and makes it known, it would be kind of stupid not to go with him, considering that he brought out the best in Wirtz and Frimpong, and he could probably do wonders with this new team gelling together.
Interesting. So Liverpool go down in that final, so PSG moves on. I think it was a 4-zip aggregate. Mateo, yes. Welcome back. We're gonna actually we'll go right back in, and again, this is another kind of like shot to the stomach. Well, but Atleti over Barcelona. We take a look at the two games there. So your red cards in both games. Like, what's your feedback? What happened there?
Hi again, Marco. Glad to be back. I mean, it's a good start. Great. Asking about a fantastic loss. But no, you know what? It was over both the two legs, obviously, red cards were a major, major factor. I'm not in the camp who's going to complain about referee decisions or the ones who, want to appeal to UEFA and get a game overturned a few months later. No, we're not doing a Morocco-Senegal. I'm just going to focus on the game. I think Mark said something similar with his answer in Liverpool. I think Barca showed their efficiencies and deficiencies as they've had all season. Defensively, and this has been the way it has been ever since Hansi Flick came in, this high line is a high risk, high reward game.
Yeah.
One through ball or one lapse of judgment can completely undermine your defense and leave the keeper stranded for an easy goal. That being said, I think in this tie over the two legs, they showed some brilliant attacking football, Barcelona, even with their main man, Rafinha, their captain, being out for both of them. Lamine Yamal, I thought, was incredible. Going forward, again, nothing new. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to those fine margins of getting caught in that high offside line or whatever it may be, it results in a red card penalty. I think we're a bit unfortunate, Barcelona, to lose over the two legs. And yeah, a few missed decisions, debatable things here and there, but I don't think this squad, honestly, as a fan, would have won the entire competition regardless. So as a neutral, if I were to be one, it'd be a fantastic tie to watch these two legs.
Yeah.
As a fan myself, though, I am sad, to put it lightly.
Yeah. And you know what, Matteo, I'm going to throw this one at you too. So they had an interview with Diego Simeone, the manager for Atleti, and he was talking a little bit about Lamine Yamal, and he said, "Let Lamine Yamal keep watching us on television while we play in the Champions League." Right. So he said he outlined Lamine Yamal as a talented and good kid. But he kind of really shot down like the media hype, and he said that I'm trying to paraphrase the quote right now, but he goes, it was players like Cristiano Ronaldo that terrified him, because he'd be playing Real Madrid and Cristiano Ronaldo would pot 3 goals. He put a hat trick in behind them, because he doesn't get that terror with Lamine Yamal, even though he's playing that beautiful game. What did you think about that quote?
You know what? I thought it was actually kind of nice of him to say what he did, because he wasn't taking direct shots in this completely bulldozing Lamine. His personality, Lamine, is like a star guy. He wants the attention. He'll say controversial things. He'll act in certain ways. He'll sit on the ball mid-game. That's who he is. Yeah. That's who he is. I think Simeone's comments were basically him saying, look, just let your feet do the talking. Be who you are, but just know your place. You're not the biggest in the world, not the biggest ever. Just keep growing. I thought that was the message underneath his statement. And yeah, it was a little bit cheeky saying watch at home. But when you win a tie like that, I think you have the right to do so. So yeah. Again, all the respect for him in the world.
Yeah. I think he was right, because Lamine Yamal, prior to that, Marco, he was yapping. Yeah. And he's proven nothing, really. Is he a talent? Sure. But he's proven nothing. I see Matteo rolling his eyes there, but really, when you compare what has Lamine Yamal done in Champions League versus the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo? Nothing.
Still early.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess it was get your ego in check.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm saying that.
Ronaldo, it's his personality, but his ego is backed up by his play, by his goals, by how many Champions League trophies he has.
Yeah. You know what the thing is with this is, like, I think that it's going to be a great future podcast episode. What type of player, like over, say, the next 15 years of Lamine Yamal, what type of player is he going to turn into? Is it going to be more of a sort of a tactician? Is it going to be more of a flashy sort of Jogo Bonito type player, right? Yeah, I think we're going to earmark that, and we're going to talk about that when things slow down after the World Cup, maybe. I think that's a good one. Okay, but let's jump into the next 2 games. Just really, really quickly, I'm going to go into Bayern Real Madrid, where both the home and away for Bayern. Like, I really enjoyed that series. It was a phenomenal watch, and even that last game when it looked like Real Madrid just tied it up on aggregate, and it was anybody's game. We see a red card and Bayern putting it away, right? So this is a phenomenal one for all ages. And I think we were talking about this offline. This one grew, and somebody can fact check me on this, semi-informed. This one had about 900 million watchers worldwide. And that's for a quarterfinal match in Champions League. That is preposterous. That's insane. But honestly, was there a better game to watch? Mark, I'm going to throw that to you.
Yeah, we were saying offline how the Super Bowl billed as this great event. It's the pinnacle of football, American football. It only had 125 million viewers, whereas this quarterfinal game had over 900 million viewers. Crazy, crazy talk. What was the rest of the question, Marco?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. Womp womp.
All right, so let's actually jump into the last one. I think this was the most boring of the 4. Give it to Sporting, but Arsenal having a 0-0 tie with draw with Sporting, but having a 1-goal aggregate from the week prior, where Kai Havertz put in a 93-minute goal and put them forward. But it looks like Arsenal sort of kind of limping into this, which is weird, because at this point, I believe they're still the unbeaten team, right? So they went in the group stage. They had 8 wins. They had a draw with Leverkusen 1-1, but I think they've won every single game since that. So this is another draw, but again, no losses for Arsenal yet. So sneakily, maybe they are going to make some steam in this tournament. And I don't know. I'm really looking forward to the next few games. Yeah, Mateo's shaking his head. I don't know. Anything can happen in these games, but Letty might take the whole tournament. But just the next two games, though, I'm really, really excited to see PSG and Bayern. And I want this is something else. So I have a workmate at work who lived in Paris for a good chunk of his life, and he's a huge PSG fan. And we talk about it respectfully between each other, both the Bayern and PSG. But what I really, really love, and I love both of your input on this, is the rivalry between the two franchises, right? Like the Bundesliga and say Liga in France, just having like one team that really kind of dominates the rest of it. Looks like that's PSG and look like that's Bayern. But honestly, since I think the COVID kind of messed up 2020, where Bayern beat PSG, I feel like right now the trajectory of those teams are maybe at the same level or so. Like I see quality, a lot of quality on both sides. Like whether it's like the crazy Portuguese on PSG, or on the wingers of Olise and Luis Diaz and Kane just being able to score at will. Like, I don't know. I think this is like a matchup. They can kind of keep the teams intact for the next few years. I like the rivalry. Mateo, what do you think about that?
I think you summed it up really well, actually. I didn't realize the comparisons and the similarities both teams have. Very, very offensive teams. Yeah, the first thing I think of when I hear PSG Bayern is the 2020 final. And you're right, ever since then, it's been kind of an ongoing theme. I think, personally, whoever wins this tie in the semifinal will win the full tournament. Because, I mean, similar to the past World Cup, it was just like one juggernaut side versus a little bit lower. Like, respectfully, Atletico Arsenal, I don't think either of them have that much of a chance in the final.
Yeah.
That being said, it's a chance. So you never.
Yeah, no. Honestly, in a two-legged sort of playoff, I get it. Like the better team should prevail, but in a one game,
exactly, yeah.
Well, who knows? Any given Sunday, stuff like that happens. We see that in the World Cup all the time, right? Where how does that team go through? 23 shots. I keep on mentioning this one, but Brazil and Croatia. I think it was something like 23 shots, and Croatia had one, and in the back of the net, right? Brazil's going home, right?
Exactly.
Like that happens. Okay. Anyways, we spent a lot of time.
The only difference, Marco. Sorry, the only difference is we're talking about a possible Arsenal in the final, so that's not going to happen. But just going back, I wanted to mention something earlier. During that Bayern Madrid game, that whole quote you always say just kept ringing through my mind. You can't keep Madrid out. You can't count them out. And really, it boiled down to that 86-minute red card that they got, because shortly after that, Diaz gets that goal. Yeah. And then, again, my Ballon d'Or pick, Michael Olise, beautiful goal. Just absolutely beautiful. But for those who don't know, go watch the game. Go watch the replays. It's every little deft touch that he makes. Just the way he receives the ball. The perfect amount of weight on a pass. The no-look passes. Everything he does.
Yeah. No, and what's it called? My workmate says he's a traditional 10, playing in a winger position, like a wideout position in with Bayern. But you're right. Like I don't know. Like if you remember 10 years back, 12 years back with Arjen Robben and Frank Ribery in Bayern, just like amazing link ups, right? Like we're almost having the same thing, right? And I love how Luis Diaz is playing as well. But I remember watching the commentator say with that, all they really needed to do at that last play of the game was hold the ball, and they probably would have run out the clock. But Olise went in and he scored, and he put it in the top shelf. Shows what a quality player he is. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ballon d'Or at some point. Last thing that I do want to point out is just like, again, not just looking at Bayern, but looking at Real Madrid in that game, though, how good Kylian Mbappe is. Like just timing of his runs, the speed of his runs. I still think Kylian Mbappe is probably one of the best players on the planet. Again, you'll link him up with the right players. I think Real Madrid, it's tough. Him and Vinny together, it's just not an ideal situation. However, how this guy runs, how this guy receives balls. It's beauty, right? So I don't know. Don't sleep on that, right? I still think Kylian Mbappe is one of the biggest class in the world.
I respectfully disagree.
All right.
Oof.
All right.
It makes you wonder though why he's 27 this year and hasn't had one Champions League yet, especially with the clubs he's been at.
Yeah, you know what? So honestly, I talked to my workmate again with PSG, and I felt like PSG last year was addition by subtraction, right? So he kind of moved on, so it was less the Kylian Mbappe show, and they focused on a lot of their French talent. Whether it was Barcola, whether it was Dembele, whether it was like I don't know, all these other players, and then adding Kvaratskhelia in the January trade deadline just to really beef up that speed and the talent and the ball handling and the wing. On top of that, I think that was just like, the huge help. And, and Donnarumma really, playing his socks off, to get them that far. So I don't know. That's a crazy thing. But I guess, honestly, yeah, I love that. PSG and Bayern, I think this is going to go on for a few more years. Let's just keep those teams intact and let them keep, killing each other. But it's good. It's good because you talk about this in the Prem. You talk about this in La Liga in Spain, right, where these top amazing teams, right? I'm like, hey, you know what? Why not Bundesliga and Liga, like having a really great challenge going back and forth. So I don't know. We'll see. I think this upcoming tie is going to be phenomenal, right? This whole moment away.
I'll tell you what would be a crazy front three: Haaland in the middle, Mbappe on the left, and Olise on the right.
And you know what? I wouldn't see that's not out of the question. Like, Real Madrid's been chasing Olise. Haaland has made his, his intentions clear that he would want to go to Real Madrid at some point in his career. So, that's almost a cheat code right there.
All right, what's next, Marco?
All right, so we're gonna jump back in. We spent a lot of time on the Champions League, but we're gonna jump back into the weekend that was here in Europe last weekend. So you know what? Honestly, we got to jump straight into the Premier League. So one of the most highly touted games in years had Arsenal and Man City facing off, and with the Premier with the Premier lead with the winning in grasps. So what happened there, Mark? I watched this game and I was rooting for Arsenal, but Mark, what happened there?
All right, so like I said, the pressure gets to them. I think that prior match between City and Arsenal for the Carabao Cup, I said that if City won, it was going to chop down the confidence of Arsenal. It'll rattle their cage. And then shortly after, they got knocked out of the FA Cup by Southampton. Then, as you mentioned, they had some boring games against Lisbon. I think that was a tactical decision by Arteta.
Yeah.
You had that one goal lead. Let's just, defend it. It'll be boring. We'll avoid injury. Okay. So that's not the mindset of a champion. Coming in against City, you could tell that they were nervous. You could see that they were nervous. And how did they deal with those nerves? They started off kind of well. And then City scores. Okay, City scores. Defensive lapse. Good goal there by Cherky. Then Cherky does a throw-in his own end to Donnarumma. Why you do that to a keeper who doesn't know how to use his feet and is only good, we've learned, at stopping penalty kicks when he has his notes, is beyond me. And so Donnarumma, what was he thinking? Although lots of credit to Kai Havertz
For picking up on that.
Yeah, for picking up on that and for running hard and getting a foot out. Okay, lots of kudos to him on that. That's the way every Arsenal player should have been playing. You get the tie. But City just dominated, I think, after that.
They had a better game.
Yeah, and quite the battle between Haaland and Gabriel. Gabriel, who should have been tossed from the game for the headbutt on Haaland. But I'll say kudos to Haaland for not going down. He said it in the interview after. He's like, I'm not the person who's going to go down. I'm actually glad because you don't like to see that sort of play acting as well, or that embellishment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they come back. And regardless that Gabriel's holding on to him, Haaland gets some service. It's a great cross. He extends himself, puts it on net. And when you put things on net, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And so City go off 2-1 winners. It's not going to bode well for Arsenal. Don't want to get ahead of this, but they're still in Champions League. They're probably their best bet. What it should have been to lose to Sporting and concentrate on the Prem. Now they're going to lose both. I know you can't do that, but if you're going to play for the Champions League, play for it. Don't play a 0-0 draw. Play for it.
Yeah. But it's hard to with your head stuck in two different huge competitions, right? So
Exactly.
Matteo, what do you think? Like what are the chances now for for Arsenal to win it, for City to win it? Like, did Arsenal just give it away with this loss? Or were they giving in the last few games where, they lost points in games where they really should have taken away 3?
Oh, yeah, it's not even debatable. This was Arsenal's league to lose. I think we all knew that. And it wasn't a matter of them being brilliant. I think it's more so been a year of everyone else being so bad. And that being said, with their 10-point, 12-point lead, you still managed to throw it away with stupid losses and draws at times you shouldn't. And now they find themselves potentially falling behind Man City. That's entirely their fault. Entirely. In the past 2 weeks, I've heard talks of a quadruple, a treble, a double, a single, and a prayer at that. So it's if they go trophyless this season, I can't even imagine, first of all, the jokes you can make to your Arsenal friends.
Yeah.
And second of all, the pressure Arteta and his players will be under for letting this thing go.
Matteo, you're a joke if you have Arsenal friends.
You know what? You joke about that, but I think that they have the biggest fan base in all of England. To tell you the truth, like a London-based team. Like I think our Arsenal fan base is probably one of the largest, right? So we're saying that it is. I guess it's one of the ones that has challenged the most. Like, they haven't seen any kind of success in 20 years, right? So
I was gonna say they may have the largest fan base, but that's not helping.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal Fan TV definitely helped globalize the fan base.
Right,
partly because they get laughed at quite a bit, but to answer your question though, in terms of odds of winning, I think it's gone down substantially. If I were to give them a percentage chance of winning one, either or, they're not going to win both, the Champions League and Premier League. We know that it's not going to happen. To win either or, it's at like a 28% right now for me.
There's no way they're winning Champions League. Come on, guys. No way. That's out of the question. That's out of the question.
Yeah, so realistically, that's 28% on the Premier League. But you never know. You never know. Things can happen in the Champions League. Knockout football. You never know.
So the numbers on Polymarket a month ago today was that Arsenal had a 91% chance of winning the EPL and Man City had a 9% chance. Today, Man City has a 56% chance of winning, and Arsenal's chances are down to 44%.
All right. You know what? Let's go to the other end of the table. Let's go to Tottenham. And I'm going to throw this back to Matteo. So Tottenham look kind of, what are they secured? They're right now in the third last spot. So they are in relegation mode. I think that's, I don't know what's been a bigger story this year in the Prem. Tottenham, like a historic franchise, potentially going down to the Championship, or Arsenal just bottling the first place. Like, so Tottenham, what would you say is their chance of actually being relegated?
Oh boy. You know what? It's funny because I asked you guys this off the pod, and I was debating what's more likely to happen: Arsenal to win the Premier League or Tottenham to get relegated. And I'm just going to explain why, the spot Tottenham are in right now, to understand the severity of it. They have 5 games left in the season. Okay, they're currently at 18th place. 18, 19, and 20 all go down. Currently, ahead of them are West Ham, 1 point ahead, Nottingham Forest, who are 5 points ahead, and the rest above them are all 8 and above ahead. West Ham have a game in hand. assuming they win, which they might, they will be 4 points ahead of Tottenham. Tottenham will be 4 points back of safety with 5 games to play. Even though this is a team with the likes of Xavi Simons, Mickey van de Ven, world-class players who came in for tens, players who came in for tens of millions, they still find themselves in this spot.
Overpaid.
How many managers have they had this year? Like with Roberto De Zerbi right now, kind of leading the squad.
I think they're on 4, no?
Yeah.
Thomas
4
Frank.
managers.
No, Thomas Frank. And then
An interim, Tudor, and then this guy.
Tudor, yeah. So this is the third manager.
Third hired manager, not including interims. Yeah, sure.
Well,
regardless, though, they're in a seriously bad spot. It's not an easy schedule of games they have coming up.
Yeah. And then I can't quote the exact number, but the amount of money that they're throwing away by leaving with the Premier League and going down.
Oh boy,
is significant, right? So, I think that's what they have to do. They have to prioritize getting their way back up, or actually not even going down in the first place, right? Like that would be a huge blow.
Yeah, I didn't even cover that because the financial blows will have to the club will be huge, especially with the investment they have with their stadium, the fees, and the wages their players are on. This would be colossal. And it might even make them stay down the championship for a few seasons, assuming they go down there. So this is a really bad spot.
Yeah, no, we've seen other clubs in the past kind of follow that. Like, clubs that have won it all. Like, I don't know. I take a look at Bundesliga, right? Where Hamburg, I think Hamburger has, what's it called? 2 Champions Leagues, like in the 70s and 80s, and they haven't been significant in the Bundesliga in the longest time, right? So what happens? There's a fall from grace there. Okay, awesome. So yeah, Mark, go on.
There was also that time that Juve was, I guess, put in the Serie B.
Yeah.
They came back. Different issues, of course.
Yeah, that was referee and tampering and everything like that. And then hey, you know what? We haven't talked about this in the pod for a while, but City actually looking for the points deduction as well, right? So I have no clue where that's headed. I don't see anything happening, to tell you the truth, right? But that's just my take on that. Mark, Liverpool had a derby. This Liverpool Everton.
Yeah. Great game because it was a win, obviously. Couple of key moments though. Mamardashvili was playing in net for the injured Alisson, and he got injured. At first, it looked kind of minor. Guy slid into him with his cleats. I was wondering how serious it was when they brought the stretcher out. Then towards the end of the game, I had heard that he was rushed to hospital actually because it was quite a gash on his knee. So third string, making his debut, Freddie Woodman came in, looked shaky. I mean, you do this for a living, Freddie. You're in practice with the boys. You've been a goalkeeper your entire life. Shouldn't be looking that shaky. But we eked out the win. Salah was on point, and then our late hero, Virgil van Dijk, in the 99th minute. So
I thought that was pretty cool, actually. Even myself, I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I think it was a pretty just historic win in the sense that this is the first Merseyside derby at the Hill to get to the stadium.
Yeah.
Liverpool won it. Their 2 biggest heroes of the past, I'd even say decade, in Salah and Van Dijk were the goal scorers. So I think it leaves on a high for a season that has been full of lows. But it's a pretty cool game to watch.
Amazing. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to go through to the other leagues right now. Bundesliga, Bayern wrapped up the championship this weekend. They have 15 points on Dortmund, just having a phenomenal season. Kane scoring at will. Like I said, in our Champions League talk, we talked about that front line, how well they're doing. Alfonso Davies scored. I don't know if anybody paid attention to the game, right? So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I love that, and I love the fact that he's getting a little bit more healthy going into the World Cup. So yeah, you know what? Knock on wood. Let's see how we kind of pulled through. So Bayern we're nailing the championship. So it's all about Champions League for them. So this is the best thing for them. And again, you know, of the teams remaining in the Champions League, you know, they have one kind of singular focus with that. Now, looking at Serie A, Inter pulling ahead 78 points. So they have 12 points ahead of a tied Milan and Napoli. Now, there was a few interesting games on the weekend, and two games that I really, really enjoyed were Lazio beating Napoli 2-0, which was a great game, but Napoli really needing those points to kind of ice second spot. And Roma Atalanta, now they were looking to grab European spots, but this was a really hard fought game. Roma played phenomenal, but it was a 1-1 draw. So Serie A was very interesting this weekend. Again, Juve with the win and everything, 2-0 over Bologna. But yeah, that's how those two came through. Mateo, how about La Liga in Spain? Anything really interesting that closed things out?
To be honest, at the risk of sounding cocky, I think the league in La Liga is over because Barcelona are 9 points clear of Real Madrid. Apart from that, there's a few spots up for grabs, especially in the relegation battle. It's a close one. I think there's 5 points separating last place and maybe 11th or 12th. So very, very tight. But in the upper end, or most people care about, it's pretty predetermined. Barcelona first. Surprise, surprise. Real Madrid second, and then Atletico third, and whoever else below.
Yeah.
Okay, there was also...
Yeah. Villarreal's in third spot.
Oh, sorry, Villarreal. Either way, the top four is essentially the regular teams.
No, but I'm just surprised at Villarreal kind of making that. Like, I remember them typically being, you know, maybe they are going to Europe, but more as a 5, 6, 7th spot or so. But for them to kind of be, you know, not comfortably in third spot, but, you know, having a little bit of a lead over Atletico is pretty interesting, right? And I like having a little bit more parity in the game, so it's not always the same team winning it over and over again.
And the other big story,
again. I personally don't, but you know what?
Yeah. All right.
The other big story in La Liga, Marco, would have been the Copa del Rey final, where Atletico and Real Sociedad squared off, went to penalty kicks, where Atleti's two best scorers in Julian Alvarez and Sorloth, they both missed the kicks, did not score, and Sociedad won the Copa del Rey.
Interesting. Again, like I said, parity itself, Sociedad right now picking up this. And they're in the 7th spot and holding on to the last spot in Europe. So very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think this, you could look at it two ways. How does it hurt Atletico, or does it fuel them? Which I think it will, especially with Simeone there. I think it actually adds more fuel to their fire to beat Arsenal.
Yeah. No, it's funny with that. I've heard a lot of people say if they're a total neutral in the Champions League going forward, that people are pulling for Atleti just for Diego Simeone. So I guess I could respect that. However, you know, with both PSG and Bayern firing on all cylinders, that's really interesting. But anyway, you know what? I think what we did is we did a great job just kind of wrapping up this week. You know,
we did.
In Champions League and everything like that. No, so going forward, Mark, like again, I'm really looking forward to this next round of Champions League. So we'll have another episode just kind of prepping that and then talking about the stories kind of leading into that. I can't imagine PSG and Bayern being very, very quiet kind of going to there. We're going to hear a lot of things. One thing I remember hearing even with Bayern and Real Madrid is just a lot of loud music played outside of the hotel. But I guess that's regular kind of banter. What we've seen between clubs. We've heard that a lot in the past. So that's some interesting stuff. So again, looking forward to just getting further into the Champions League. You know, finally finalizing the European leagues as they kind of go into the last few weeks, and also kind of getting prepped a lot for the World Cup, where, you know what, it's not that far away, right? So we're getting closer. We're closing in on that. So amazing. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming on the show today. This was very interesting discussion. again, I want to thank everybody for listening in. I think we've had some really, really great growth in the podcast over the last few weeks. So thank you so much. Again, recommend it to friend, family, or anybody that'd be interested in listening to what's happening in the great world of European football, or even just that kind of getting a recap of some of the great storylines that are happening in the game, and listening to our quality commentary or our semi-informed decisions. Anyways, so with that said, Mark, Mateo, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we're keeping you
semi-informed.